Have you ever just felt totally stressed out by your own daily spending habits? Or maybe you felt like you're somehow failing at building wealth simply because you enjoy the little things in life. Well, if that sounds like you are absolutely in the right place. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to completely dismantle one of the most annoying, oversimplified, and honestly, guilt-inducing personal finance myths out there. Today, we're diving into the real data and the behavioral psychology behind it all to understand exactly why traditional saving advice is structurally flawed. And more importantly, we're going to show you how you can actually start building long-term wealth without punishing yourself every single day. Okay, so we've literally all heard it, right? It's everywhere. The classic cookie-cutter advice: just skip your daily $5 coffee, put that money in a savings account, and boom, you'll magically become a millionaire. But let's be real for a second and ask yourself, does this actually feel like a realistic financial plan? Or does it kind of just feel like a punishment? Because what it really does is create this constant low-level anxiety where every single small, harmless purchase is heavily scrutinized. We're essentially told that our lack of wealth is just a moral failure of discipline over a cup of roasted beans. But is that actually mathematically true? Financial expert Brennan Schlagbaum absolutely hits the nail on the head here. He calls this lazy advice, and he is entirely right. So the crucial point we need to unpack is why this myth is so wildly popular and why it spreads like wildfire. It's appealing because, well, it's simple, it's actionable, it gives you a false sense of immediate control. Think about it. When the economy is super unpredictable, inflation is rising, and housing costs are just through the roof, it feels really good to say, well, at least I controlled my coffee spending today. It makes you feel productive. But as Schlagbaum points out, it doesn't actually fix any of the structural issues in your finances.
To really understand why our brains fall for this coffee myth so easily, we actually need to look at a concept from behavioral economics. It's a tendency called narrow framing. Basically, it's our habit of focusing on a tiny, narrow slice of the picture while completely missing the interconnected reality of the whole shebang. When our financial lives get overwhelming, our brains just kind of retreat. We fixate on that $5 daily coffee because it's right in front of us and it's easy to control, completely ignoring the massive, complex financial decisions that actually dictate our future.
Just look at this stark contrast. It's wild. On one side, we have the $5 coffee we constantly obsess over. On the other side, the things that actually drain wealth: unoptimized housing costs, carrying high-interest credit card debt, and simply not earning enough income. Personal finance expert Ramit Sethi frequently points out the sheer absurdity of this. You could literally save your $5 a day, never enjoy a coffee out again, and maybe save a couple of $1,000s over a year. But if you're paying 18% interest on a massive credit card balance, or you haven't negotiated a salary bump in 5 years, that coffee money is entirely meaningless. You're micromanaging pennies while you are hemorrhaging thousands. Look, struggling to save isn't a character flaw. It's literally a clash with human biology. Traditional saving fails because psychologically, putting money away feels like a loss. Your brain is hardwired for immediate survival and instant rewards, not some distant retirement 40 years from now. Add to that the fact that modern life actively pushes us to spend with one-click purchases and endless subscription models. And hey, when life gets hard, stress triggers emotional spending to help us cope. Beating yourself up for buying a coffee when your brain is just seeking a tiny moment of relief from a stressful world, it completely misses the point of how human behavior actually works. Okay, let's pivot from psychology to some brutal, undeniable math. 0.62%. That's a recent National Average Annual Percentage Yield, or APY, for a U.S. savings account, meaning this is what banks are actually paying you to hold your money. So even if you do summon immense willpower, skip the coffee, and shove that cash into a traditional bank account, you are barely earning a thing. Saving money in a standard account is actively promoted as the ultimate responsible thing to do, but as you'll see in just a second, it comes with a massive invisible drain. Compare that 0.62% bank rate to this number: 4.2%. That has been the rate of inflation in recent years. So the absolute crucial point here is that if your bank account is paying you less than 1%, but the cost of living is rising by more than 4%, your money is actually losing purchasing power every single day it just sits there. Robert Kiyosaki, the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, famously said savers are losers for exactly this reason. Sitting on cash without investing it is mathematically a losing game. The money you supposedly saved by skipping that latte, it's actively evaporating. Now, you might be wondering, what about popular budgeting rules? Take the famous 50-30-20 rule, which tells you to spend 50% on needs, 30% on wants, and save 20%. Let's break this down. When you're younger, making a net salary of, say, $100,000, 30% means you have $30,000 for wants. Cool. But as you advance in your career and make, let's say, $500,000, this exact same rule suddenly tells you it's perfectly fine to spend $150,000 a year on wants. This accidentally gives you permission for massive lifestyle creep. It dramatically expands your liability spending just because your income grew, which severely limits the actual wealth you could be building. And this brings us to a massive, fundamental paradigm shift. Saving alone is not an investment strategy. Look, saving is absolutely crucial for emergencies and stability. You definitely need a cash buffer so a flat tire doesn't ruin your entire month. But saving is just a stepping stone. True financial wellness means shifting your mindset away from just depriving yourself to save and moving toward building actual assets and investing. We really need to stop managing our small expenses and start managing our wealth creation. So what should we actually do instead? Well, instead of sweating the small stuff, we need to focus on the big wins. Remember Ramit Sethi from earlier? He strongly advocates redirecting all that energy you spend feeling guilty about lattes toward decisions that have an outsized, massive impact on your life. Negotiating a higher salary, even just once, can yield hundreds of thousands of dollars over your career. Aggressively eliminating high-interest debt, that frees up massive cash flow. And simply committing to increasing your investment rate every single time you get a raise ensures that your wealth outpaces your lifestyle creep. If you nail these few big decisions, you honestly don't have to sweat the small stuff. To actually make this happen, you need a system that doesn't rely on waking up with perfect daily willpower. It's called the Pay Yourself First system. Step 1, figure out exactly how much you want to invest and save for the future. Step 2, automate those transfers right out of your checking account on the exact day you get paid, before you ever even see the money. And step 3, actually, this is the absolute best part, you get to spend whatever is left entirely guilt-free. By focusing on behavioral consistency rather than daily discipline, you ensure that your future self is funded automatically. And here is what that automation looks like in practice. By setting up automatic contributions for your emergency fund and your retirement directly out of your paycheck, saving basically becomes invisible. It becomes effortless. You don't have to wake up and actively decide to save money every single day. You just have to make the decision once, set up the system, and let the software do all the heavy lifting for you. Automation beats intention every single time. This exact mindset is why personal finance educator Tori Dunlop advocates for what she calls taco dollars. I love this quote. She says, "If coffee is what you love to spend your money on, amazing. I'm here to advocate for you so you can feel confident in saving and spending money on the things that you love." Once your big wins are handled and your savings are on autopilot, you absolutely should fund your personal joys. Building wealth doesn't have to mean stripping every ounce of joy out of your current life. So let me ask you this. What if you completely stopped managing your coffee and started managing your systems? Just imagine the mental energy you would get back if you ditched the latte guilt once and for all and instead focused your efforts on increasing your income, crushing your debt, and automating your investments. True financial freedom isn't about perfectly restricting yourself every single day. It's about building a structural foundation that allows you to live richly right now while effortlessly securing your future. So think about your own systems today and ask yourself, what is one big win that you can tackle right now?